This week on Previous World Weekly, we discuss your geeky, guilty pleasures, find out why Star Wars fans are in an outrage, yes again, and we'll walk you through an all-new way to order comics directly from your local comic shop. It's all happening right now on Previous World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day, with your weekly reminder. We're getting closer. We're getting there. August 14th for Free Comic Book Day. You can head to the website, check out all the books, and get hype.
Get hype. Get real hype, actually. I saw DC announced a bunch of books this week, actually. What's that about?
Yeah, they announced, I believe, 4 titles. So they'll be joining in on the festivities as well.
Okay, cool. I think a few people were shocked by that. And it's like, well, it's comic book geek national holiday, guys. Like, yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised by that. It's a good opportunity for all our publishers and our and comic shops in general. So there you go. One more reminder before we get into it: like, follow, and subscribe, guys. Please. Can you do that for us? We asked nicely, just like, follow, and subscribe. They're not just to Previews World, right? But also to Free Comic Book Day, so you can keep up to date on all the comings and goings of the event that's happening in August and beyond. So definitely keep an eye on that. Ubaldo, what's up, Ubaldo? Hey, hello there. Hello yourself.
Hey.
I don't know how I feel about getting a hello there from Darth Vader. That makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but we'll.
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it. We know you're okay with it. Oh, we're going to have some fun with Star Wars just in a second. But before we get to the fun stuff, right, I got to drag you guys through the not so fun stuff really quickly, okay? Well, not too quickly because we want to be respectful. I don't know if you've heard this saying before, Ashton, but I've heard people say before that deaths happen in threes.
I have heard that, yes.
Yeah. And last week, that's exactly what happened. Kentaro Miura passed away. He was the creator of Berserk, which is extremely popular manga and anime. I'll be very, very honest with you guys. I have never read it. I have never watched the anime. I've never read the manga or watched the anime. But I have way so many friends who love Berserk. Which was like his flagship book. He's released some other stuff, but Berserk was like his masterpiece. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was like an emotional blow for a lot of my friends. Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, it turns out that he passed away back on May 6th, and actually very similar to the MF Doom situation. His family withheld any details about his passing until last week. And so I have a quote here from the spokeswoman for Dark Horse Comics, Kate J, because Dark Horse, of course, produces Berserk for the American audience. Kate J, a spokeswoman for Dark Horse Comics, the English language publisher, said the cause was acute aortic dissection, a tear in the aorta branching off from the heart. She did not say where he died. According to Dark Horse Comics, Berserk has sold about 50 million books worldwide and about 3 million in the United States. It originated in a Japanese magazine in 1989 and soon became a book series in multi-volume hardcover editions and single-volume paperbacks small enough to fit into a coat pocket. He was 54. He died back on May 6th. And unfortunately, he was not the only person. We also have David Anthony Kraft, who's a comic book journalist. CBR reports writer David A. Kraft has passed away from COVID-19, sadly. Kraft wrote for Marvel and DC Comics during the 1970s and 80s, including titles like The Defenders and The Savage She-Hulk, but was also the founder of Fictionary Books, which published books, comics, and magazines like the groundbreaking Comics Interview. Our condolences go out to David's family. And unfortunately, there was a third one this week. And and I might say his name a little bit wrong, and I really, really apologize for that. It was Greg Ide, I believe, who was actually a Spaniard who made his home here in the United States. He grew up loving superheroes. And so he opened his own comic book store in Pittsburgh. And it was known for records, videos, toys, and other collectibles in addition to comics. So again, and this is a retailer, and it's kind of crazy, right? Like, it's kind of we hit like various corners of the comic world all in like 1 week. We have a creator, we have a publisher, and a journalist, And then on top of that, we have a retailer as well. So, hey, you know, our condolences to them. They will be fondly remembered by those of us, those who were impacted by them in different ways. And yeah, like our condolences to their family. And you know, I think in particular, especially in David and Kentaro's case, we always say this, like their legacy lives on in their work. So you know, memorialize them. And I'm not saying this just to tell you, hey, go buy stuff, but memorialize them by picking up some of their work and understanding why they were so beloved as creators in general. I personally bought Berserk yesterday because I had never read it before, and I'll be honest with you, probably going to read the first volume and then watch the movie, just because time's kind of tight, you know. But yeah, it's been something that's been on my to-do list for a long time. Been hearing about it for like about 15 years that I should read this book, so I'm going to do it. So hey guys, check it out. Definitely pick it up if you get a chance, and find out what was so great about these guys in general. So we had a comment here. Okay, Trevor. Absolutely heartbroken over Miura's death. Absolutely, yeah. And you're not the only one. I watched a great video that actually kind of caught me up to speed on how big of an impact he had. It was with a website called a YouTube channel called Near Mint. The host and his wife did like a little 30-minute video where they just kind of outlined the creator's impact on them specifically. And it was very emotional. I was a little bit shocked, a little bit surprised, like how emotional it was. But that kind of created context for how important this creator was for a lot of people. All right, we're going to move forward. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff. Oh, hold on. Gabrielle Lee says Berserk is one of those mangas you can binge in like a week. Really? Okay. I don't know if I'm going to take you up on that challenge, but
yeah, that's a big challenge.
That's a big challenge. If I get to the end of volume 1 and I feel like I don't want the story to stop, I'll let you guys know how it goes next week. How about that? Yeah. So let's talk about justice for Dave.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something fun for a second. So Ashton mentioned that Star Wars fans were in an uproar, but this is actually pretty amusing. Johnny, I did not ask you. Okay, he's got it. All right. So Johnny, can you play this clip and like we can all be in awe and shock as I was and Ashton was the other day when we first saw this video, please?
Who was the father of Luke Skywalker? Oh, straight away, Dave.
Anakin Skywalker.
Not the right answer, Tracy. Darth Vader's right. That's like a change.
So I'm assuming, okay, our audience is a very nerdy audience. They're very well versed in all sorts of lore, and particularly Star Wars. So what that was a TV show called Supermarket Sweep, right? Now, here's the catch. And this is the thing that's being hotly debated right now, right? So the guy who answered Anakin Skywalker, his name is Dave, right? And this particular show came out before 1999.
Okay.
So, which means technically, the fact that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader wasn't a widely known thing. But somebody reminded me that hold on, they called Anakin Skywalker Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi. So the end result of this, of course, is that look, people are now saying that like, look, they need to give. This is one of those supermarket shows where you get to like buy stuff, grab everything that you can in like a certain amount of time or whatever. So the internet has been like, look, we need to like do right by Dave because he was clearly right, and the game show was wrong. And they're saying like, look, you need to let this guy go into a supermarket, any supermarket, and just take like $1 million worth of product. I don't know, Ashton. Where do you fall on this? Do you believe in justice for Dave?
100%. They did so dirty. How dare you get on TV and do and not even have all of your mess fact checked?
You're right.
Because Obi-Wan's Force Ghost tells Luke that on Dagobah. Calls him by name. I don't care if it's obscure. It's correct.
No, and I mean, I think that's a totally fair thing. This is when being too. I guess this is like almost like when being too much of a nerd goes wrong because you do something that would. And at this point in time, this would have been, I guess, a deep cut, right? Saying Anakin Skywalker, right? Now it's like everybody knows that now. Like people don't even know Star Wars know this, right? I just listened to I heard a Kanye verse the other day where he rapped about Anakin Skywalker. It's a widely known thing, right? But poor Dave got shafted, and I could only imagine, like, I wouldn't blame him if he was in the green room just breaking stuff after that because he had to know he was right.
Yeah.
Like, actually, Johnny, can you play that one more time? He needs a redo. Johnny, can you play that one more time? Because I want to see how confident he was on that answer.
Who was the father of Luke Skywalker? Oh, straight away, Dave.
Anakin Skywalker.
Not the right answer. Tracy.
Darth
Vader is right. That's up with change.
Oof. Yeah. No, he was with it. And you saw, I guess I'm assuming that was his teammate or his wife was behind him, like, got it. Nailed it. So poor Dave, like, I first found out about this. My buddy Tony told me about this. The people that broke this was actually the Lad Bible, which I didn't even know still existed, to be honest. But yeah.
I love the Lad Bible. I loved the Lad Bible in college. I didn't know it was still a thing too, but
right. Very brotastic and not something at all I thought they would cover, or that I even didn't think they would exist anymore. But there you go. So I don't know, guys. If you want to get involved in justice for Dave, then look up the hashtag online. I think it's on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And I don't know, maybe there'll be a change.org petition for this guy soon. I think of all the things we could worry about right now, you know what? I think we should be doing this.
Yes, we need this. Dave is counting on us. He deserves this justice. Get on Twitter and yell.
Absolutely. So, okay. All right. We're about 12 minutes in. We've gone off on a bunch of topics already. How about what's at comic shops? Let's get back to comics specifically, right? It is New Comic Book Day. We've got our picks this week, and then we're going to put you onto some cool toys. So let's get it. Here's what's at comic shops. Can I just say, I'm so tired of how hot it is in this room. I saw an old interview I did, like not even old interview I did like about 2 months ago. And I think it's just when it like actually started to get like in the 70s and 80s, like 80s degrees out here. And I'm just like, I look like I'm a sweaty drunk. I absolutely hate it. I was sitting there watching. I was like, why am I sweating so much? Like, I was just miserable the whole time. I'm like, this is so hot. It's so hot here. Anyway, sorry. We'll be moving hopefully next year. So it's okay.
You're gonna have to sweat through this whole summer.
Yeah, the whole summer, right? Exactly the time that you like have to sweat, right? You know what, Ashton? I'm gonna go first because I feel like I always make you go first. So how about this? I'm gonna go first, and then I'm gonna really go in a different direction because I'm not going to pick a Marvel book, which I feel like I've been doing a lot of in the last several weeks. So I'm like, enough. Maybe in the last several years. It's also true. So there's a book coming from Image Comics this week called Made in Korea. Look, you know how strongly I feel about robots, Ashton. We have had this conversation before. I feel like you're an ally.
I am not hip with the robot uprising.
Okay, all right. So we're both on the same page. Look, guys, when it comes time, Ashton and I, we're gonna have the bunker. So
yeah.
All right. If you're not with the robot uprising, then you need to like get with it and like, just hit us up. Anyway, so here's a cool thing about this. I thought it was interesting. The book's called Made in Korea. It's about this character named Jessie, who's like the world's first true AI system. And she's been growing up with the means to learning to think outside the box, which I always feel like typically in a story like this means that things are going to go wrong, right?
Of course.
But what they're doing here is actually kind of interesting because they're giving her sort of existential crisis. And what it's planning to do, or at least by the description of the book, is they will redefine what it means to be a family in an age when biological parenthood is no longer a reality. So I'm assuming that, I don't know if you've ever seen that Steven Spielberg movie AI, but I'm assuming that's what's happening here is that, she's someone's child, right? Created in an assembly line, but raised like a birth child. And now she's starting to put two and two together, and she's like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. And I'm one of those people, I loved AI. I think AI is a brilliant movie. And so I'm curious to see someone explore that story more, because clearly that story is done for Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg. I also thought the artwork was kind of cool, actually. It was very unique, like very different. You can't really get a good gauge of it on the cover, even though it's the same artist, George Shaw. But yeah, it's interesting. Like the artwork is very, the colors really pop, and the artwork is very unique. It's kind of like borders on manga, but also like it's also very much it's also going for a sort of realism. But yeah, check it out. I'm curious about this. Made in Korea is a 6-part book, and it's coming from Image Comics. Thank you, Johnny, for pulling it up. And it's coming from Image Comics this week. Try something new. You know what? That's what I'm telling myself. Try something new. See what's up. No more Spider-Man. Pulling, maybe that's a lie, but
Also Spider-Man, but also this.
also this. Exactly. What's your pick this week, Ashton?
First things first, I'd like to let everybody here know that I am very nice to my Alexa. I say please and thank you, because when it's time for all this to happen, I'm not going down by an Alexa. It's not happening.
That would be a dumb way to die, right? Like
Right.
of all the things, all right. Respect. You know what? I need to be a little kinder. I just got a car that's like fairly smart. And I was telling Liz the other day, I was like, you got to say nice things to it. Like I'm just gonna be always nice to it, because you never know. Like one day it'd be like, oh, you want to go left? How about you go off this hill, jerk?
Right. Makes me nervous.
Makes me nervous. So anyway, I'm sorry. What did you pick this week?
I am a big kid at heart, so I've picked a children's book this week. My pick is Your Theme Park Adventure. It's like a create your own, choose your own adventure book. And you're basically given a plot of land to build a theme park on. And like, as you go through the pages and you do the different like puzzles and riddles and figure out all of these different things, it kind of dictates, how your park turns out and like your guest list and what kind of things are in your park and all that stuff. And I picked this, like I said, I'm a big kid, but I also loved, let me tell you, loved Roller Coaster Tycoon when I was
knew you were going to
kid.
say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Immediate Roller Coaster Tycoon vibes. I was like, I need this. I need to do it. It's the same thing in book form. Easy money.
All right. Okay. I'm with it. You know what? I always wanted to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, but never did. So maybe I should check this book out and just kind of live vicariously through it. I'm into that. Oh, that was weird. Why did my page just moved on my screen by itself? I didn't even touch anything. That was a little disturbing. See, the robots are already starting, man. Already starting. Actually, before we do the toys this week, I actually forgot to mention at the top of the show, there's a new catalog at your local comic shop.
Gosh.
New previews catalog. Yes, there is. And you know what? We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about Pullbox in a second, right? Because what you're going to start seeing in the coming weeks is, all those items in the catalog. That's fine, Johnny. All those items in the catalog are going to be available, and you just be able to click it, pre-order it right then at the comfort of your own home or on the toilet. Let's be honest.
Right, literally.
Or maybe at work when you should be working, you could be shopping the previews catalog. It's going to really ease of access. Things are going to change around here, and it's going to be for the better. So definitely, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the second half, in the middle of the show. Before we do that, though, let's switch over to Natasha and the previews toy chest. So Natasha's going to give us a rundown of all the toys out this week. We talked about the comics, but of course there's also toys available every single week at your local comic shop. So here's what you can pick up in the toy aisle of your LCS. Check it out.
Natasha here to give you a look inside the previous toy chest. Let's find out what's at comic shops this week. That's not all. Before heading to your local comic shop, be sure to check out PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases. There you'll find a complete rundown of everything a toy collector could possibly want.
All right. Okay. So, Ashton, all right, we told people, hey, look, we're going to do this. We're going to talk about Pullbox. Sorry, I got totally distracted because I'm trying to communicate with Johnny at the same time. So, Leah, let's talk about Pullbox because I'm excited. I'm totally exhausted by Pullbox, but at the same time, I'm absolutely excited about it because this is something that's been long in the making. So, what can you tell us about Pullbox, Ashton?
Yeah, so Pullbox is basically a new platform that allows you guys a better way to manage your pre-orders and subscriptions at your local comic shop. So you can get on the PREVIEWSworld website and place orders directly with your local comic shop. There's all kinds of tools there for you to sync orders, manage your pre-orders and subscriptions, kind of add things, drop things, make special orders, keep a wish list, which is me always like, I need these 50 things. and
Yeah.
track your weekly purchases as they ship or as they're ready for pickup. And it really just makes it more intuitive, more engaging, and it gives you more control. And like Troy said, the comfort to do it from wherever and whenever you think of it. You can go in and place the order then, instead of trying to remember to get to your comic shop and tell them or call them or whatever. It just eliminates a lot of the in between and makes it a lot easier. And it's compatible with everything in the Previews catalog. So if it is in our Previews catalog, you can order it through Pullbox, and that's everybody: Image, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, IDW, like Dynamite, everybody under the sun.
Yep. And when we say everybody, we mean everybody. It's all in there, guys. So yeah, this is an exciting thing. And I'm sorry, I was running back and forth with Johnny. Did you say when it's going to become available to consumers?
I did not. Thank you for catching me on that. It will be launching June 7th. So coming up.
Yeah. And so I actually wanted real quick, because it is also a new catalog day. I want to show you guys the actual covers for the catalog. So yeah, like Ablaze is on the front cover this month. And here's just some of the things you can pre-order. Like they have a new book by Maria Lovett. People, no pun intended, people love Maria Lovett, right? Like, I mean, she's extremely popular as an artist right now. She's done some cool stuff with Boom and a bunch of other publishers. And now she's bringing her art style to Ablaze Publishing. Which should be actually pretty cool and pretty interesting. Oh, wait a minute, we lost you, Johnny. What happened to the cover? Anyway, also the other thing, which is like probably the bigger of the two, I openly admit, is King Spawn. Image Comics is releasing King Spawn #1. We did an interview on our feed like a few months ago with Todd McFarlane, where he warned us. He said the Spawn universe is coming, guys, and we've already seen some rollout of that in terms of just art and the different creators announcements and whatnot. And here's your chance to pre-order one of the first titles from that this new universe-wide line of books, King Spawn #1 from Image Comics and Todd McFarlane Productions. And starting June 7th, you can just log into Previews World Pullbox with your participating comic shop and click pre-order, and they're going to reserve it for you, right? That's how it works. So definitely stay tuned to our feed for official announcements, and also keep watching the show, because we're going to keep watching our channel as well, because I'm plotting a tutorial video, and I'm thinking I'm going to use Animia for this, but we shall see. Plotting. So okay, fun stuff. That was all the fun stuff, right? Ashton, what's going on in this week in cringe?
Powerpuff Girls are like doing something. Not, it's ill-advised, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
So I ranted several weeks back about like how I hated this idea for a live action grown-up Powerpuff Girls mess, and Lord, it has become a mess. So the CW announced earlier this week that they're holding off on the Powerpuff Girls, and they're reworking the pilot, and then they'll debut in the fall. And that's because pieces of the script leaked from the pilot they had already shot, and it is overtly sexual for no reason and incredibly uncomfortable and also just bad.
Yeah, like you told me this the other day, right? And I was like, well, I found about it on the show. And then it found me on the internet, right? Like I was just minding my own business. And then I was like, oh, Powerpuff Girls is trending. Uh-oh. And so people are posting little bits from the script and just throwing out online. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's my thing, like, because I know people have done this also, but they did this with Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman script and all this other stuff, right? A director makes a difference, right? And how they direct and how the actors act these things out, that does make a difference. You know what? So like I want to say a little grain of salt in terms of the script. But the thing that, and like I'm not a huge Powerpuff Girls fan, right? But I did watch it when I was younger, right? The thing that bugs me about this, when I looked at that script, I'm like, this isn't Powerpuff Girls. You don't need to do this. Right. Like, I'm becoming increasingly irritated with the with Hollywood's decision to adultify and sexualize these characters that were really made for they were from our youth. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And they're definitely kind of leaning into that a lot and trying to, and I guess in an attempt to modernize them and make them relatable, but it definitely comes off as the Steve Buscemi backwards hat. Hello, fellow youths.
Right, literally, it does.
That's what it comes off as. And again, I want to say, like, yeah, if a director makes a difference, actors make a difference. Like, this just because it reads one way doesn't mean it's going to come off one way, right? But
Mhm.
it's the Powerpuff Girls, dude. Like, why are we even doing this like this? Just make a new Powerpuff Girls cartoon.
Right. I'm
Like, why is
also
it
a little
like that?
confused, like, why we need it at all.
True.
Like, the whole thing with the Powerpuff Girls is that it was supposed to be this empowering thing that's like for little girls. It's like, you can be tough, you can save the day, you can make a difference. And now we're like, screw that, let's ruin it all. We don't want that. It just feels, it
Yeah.
feels really out of character for what the original series was about.
Yeah, no, it 100% does. And yeah, I just, again, like, we were talking about this. You're going to cringe even harder when we get to watch Return to Riverdale, because yeah, we're Ashton and I were talking about this. We want to do like a live stream where we just both watch. I haven't seen it in like 30 years probably. But like yeah, there was this Archie movie called Return to Riverdale, straight to TV. And yeah, it just was like oddly overtly sexual.
Wonderful.
And like, it just like the first thing I thought about when I saw this was like, oh god, this is Return to Riverdale all over again. Like, it doesn't need to be like this. Now, mind you, of course, I guess the show Riverdale now is also overtly sexual,
Right.
but like at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. Like, sometimes it's sort of like let things live and let live, I guess is what I'm getting at. So you also had some drama going on with the Willy Wonka thing, right? I didn't even know this was a thing, really. But what's going on with that?
All right, so Warner is making a Willy Wonka origin story.
Of course they are.
I guess they are. Why wouldn't they be? Also, I realized, like, Warner needs to give it a rest. This is the third time they'll have done a Willy Wonka movie. I'm not sure what the fixation is, but I don't think there's a reason to be rehashing it constantly. It'll be directed by Paul King, who did the Paddington movies. And Timothy Chalamet was just announced to star as a younger version of Willy Wonka before he opens the chocolate factory and becomes world renowned. I love Timothy Chalamet. I have a huge crush on him. I will see this movie for that reason alone. I firmly believe this is not necessary. I don't understand what we're going to get out of an origin story. It kind of feels a little like a piling on, because we did like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker thing, and now we're doing like the Emma Stone Cruella de Vil thing. It just it feels like a little pointless. The
first thing I thought of was like all the Disney the stories of the characters before they were the characters, like Maleficent and like the upcoming Cruella de Vil. Yeah, that was the first thing I thought about that. And then I realized it was a Warner Brothers release, and I was like, oh, okay. So that probably is exactly what this is. Like, it's just sort of like we gotta match Disney blow for blow on every possible front. Maybe, I don't know, but that's kind of what it felt like. So,
like, I think it could be really cool, and I think Timothy Chalamet is a great actor. I just think it's not necessary.
Yeah. I do like, nobody needs a Willy Wonka origin story. It's just Hollywood overthinking. I've been really down on Hollywood lately, I gotta say. Like,
some weird stuff. Also, I told my mom about this yesterday, and she had a meltdown. She was like, Gene Wilder, it's the only Willy Wonka we need.
I love that. Actually, the thing I love about that is that, like, it just goes to show that, like, look, there's always going to be that group of people that's going to be like, oh, just let it. It needs the next generation needs it. Like, just let it go. Like, it's not for you anymore. Like, just watch something else, right? There's always going to be somebody. It's always going to be somebody you don't expect is going to be like, but that's mine.
Yeah. I was not expecting her to, like, of all the things that she would get territorial and really Wonka, was not on my bingo card.
That was just hilarious. Like, I think that's really interesting. Yeah, okay. All right. You know what? I co-sign on that. Your mom's right. Leave Gene Wilder alone. Like, let him story live in it. I mean, of course, they already made a Johnny Depp one, but whatever. So, all right. Also out this week, guys, there's a Black Panther. The Black Panther series by Ta-Nehisi Coates is actually coming to a conclusion. He's been doing this storyline called the Intergalactic. Oh God, I just blanked on it. The Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda. Sorry. It had an interesting start. It definitely kind of threw you off center, and then they began to answer questions. I always thought the idea of an intergalactic empire of Wakanda, I can't say that for some reason, was interesting. And so for the last 25 issues, he's been exploring that concept of Wakanda in space. And now he's about to wrap it up. And actually, I think he might be saying goodbye to Marvel as well. So here's a trailer for that. And then we come back. I'm going to show you something you might not expect. How about that? And that was Black Panther number 25. That is in comic shops today. And that is the conclusion of Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on Black Panther. And also, I got to mention Daniel Acuna, who, like, I first discovered Daniel Acuna, I want to say, on Uncanny Avengers, I believe. Or it might have been Uncanny X-Force. I can't remember. But I love his artwork. And I love that he's doing this book. He brings something to the story that, like, I don't think people would expect it for Black Panther just visually. And it's just really cool. And, like, I love just seeing him kind of, like, work in this world, like, that I never really thought he would. I've just been a big fan of his since day one. So, yeah, it's actually really cool to see Daniel Acuna on top of Ta-Nehisi Coates on this book. And I promise you guys, I would show you something that you wouldn't expect. So, Johnny, can you throw up the George Floyd art for me?
Oh.
So, Ashton, you won't believe who this is. Well, you know it's George Floyd, right? So,
yeah,
right. So, the anniversary of George Floyd's death was yesterday, I believe. And there was a lot of, like, memorials and whatnot, like, the last couple of days. And it turns out that I guess one of the people that wanted to memorialize him was Rob Liefeld. And that is Rob Liefeld. That is Rob Liefeld artwork.
Wow.
And, like, you see, so the thing is, like, you don't see it until you know it's Rob Liefeld. Then you're sort of like, oh, okay, I can kind of see the cross hatching, all this other stuff. But I thought that was interesting, especially in lieu of the conversation we had about art not too long ago.
Right.
You know, it just kind of goes to show that, like, you just never know. Like, you know, I know people have been hypercritical of Rob Liefeld over the years, but apparently he's a phenomenal portrait artist.
Yeah, that was excellent. Wow.
Right? So, you know, it's just like, you know, it's every artist has a particular skill, and, you know, they're more diverse than you think. And just because, like, oh, he doesn't draw feet, right? Okay, fine, sure. We've been hearing that for 30 years. That's not getting old already, right? But, you know, you just never know, guys. So, you know, just be nice to artists, I guess is what I'm getting at. All right, Ashton, let's do some social swap. I'm actually looking forward to this one. This should be kind of interesting.
Me too.
I'm gonna let Ashton take it over, and we're going to talk about some nerd shame. How about that? Let's go.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Tori logged it up. We are talking about your nerdy, geeky, guilty pleasures this week. That weird thing that you love, but you don't really tell your friends about. It's like maybe weird or maybe unpopular. So let's dive in and see what your guilty pleasures are, and then we'll share some of our own. Gary said, really loved all the 90s stuff, mass-produced comic cards, bag number ones with 5 different covers, hologram, and all of the foil covers, the start of Image. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Roxana said, I don't have a lot of nerd friends, but I love collecting weird graphic novels from the $1 section. I find the weirdest stories. Ada said, Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. It's probably my favorite superhero flick, right up there with Captain America Civil War.
Whoa, geez, I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure. That might be a hot take.
That's bomb, right? Crystal says, when I'm home alone, I like to watch fantasy and superhero movies and matching cosplay.
Okay. Someone gave him the hat salute, huh? Respect.
Right. Ryan says the weirdest, most obscure would probably be my obsession with a Charlton Comics character from the 1950s called Gumbo Galahad, who appeared in a grand total of 4 issues ever, not counting his slight revival in Charlton Arrow. But yeah, pretty sure I'm alone there.
Hey, deep cuts allowed.
Right. Jake says the Dark Horse comic series Concrete by Paul Chadwick is such a different pace and style of story. I'm the only person I know who loves it, but I stand by it.
Hey, you know what? Love what you love, guys. Love what you love. So, Ashton, do you want to share your geeky guilty pleasure with us?
I will. I've alluded to this in the past and maybe danced around it, but now I will overtly admit I love fan fiction and fan art to some extent, but definitely fan fiction. I love fan fiction, and like I'm talking about like archive of our own, like deep cuts, not just like weird Wattpad stuff. Like I was telling my boyfriend about this a while back, and because he was like, "What are you like reading on your phone? You're so into it." And I was like, "Well, look." It's Avatar fan fiction, and then it was a whole thing. He's like, "You're weird," but I love. I don't know. I love fan fiction because I feel like it's such a big sandbox to play in, and I love seeing what other people do with it, and the whole spectrum of things too. I'm not talking about like just weird sexual fan fiction, like all of it. So yeah, that's me.
So let me ask you, because like I will openly admit, like, I have made fun of you in the past for liking fan fiction, right?
Yes.
And I there's a part of me that is like vehemently opposed to it.
Right.
But it's not in a way that's like you shouldn't read it too. It's more along the lines of like I'd much rather read the official, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But like, so what do you think the appeal is of fan fiction?
So I almost always read fan fiction after I've finished consuming whatever the real thing is. So it's always it's almost always a reaction to something I loved so much that I feel like I need more of it now. And I think that's probably the appeal for a lot of people, is they just want more from it. What do the characters do after the story's over? So I think it's just another way of like engaging in it and trying to get more out of it. And it's also just like a creative outlet to try your hand at it. Some fan fiction is like just super bad, and some of it's actually really, really good, like well written, well edited, like the whole thing.
Johnny's saying all the Star Wars novels were fan fiction until the movies came out.
That is true.
I mean, okay, sure, fine. I'll let it go.
See, that's the thing though. Now fan fiction is like weird and stigmatized, and I can't figure out why, but like those Star Wars novels were fan fiction.
Well, Johnny, are you talking about you might as well jump in here, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here.
Are you talking about like post the original trilogy?
Post the original trilogy. Basically, like the Timothy Zahn books that like first introduced Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, he was a fan of the stories. There was no official content coming out from Lucasfilm at the time. There were no more movies. So a fan of the original of these movies created a fictional work of fiction. Okay. Me, I'm smart. But no, he created these original works of fiction that based on like an original or like IP that he loved. So I mean, in its narrowest definition, it seems like that would be fan fiction.
You know what? Actually, I just thought about this. You know what? I think I know when fan fiction became stigmatized. I'm assuming it probably was Twilight.
Oh.
I just thought about that. I was like, you know what? I feel like that was like when the tide changed. Because at first, I've seen all the arguments for it. I've seen people like, look, fan fiction's been around for decades. Like, it's not something that just popped up just because of the internet. Like, it's just been something that's been around. And so I get it. I understand. And I don't want to, suffocate someone's enjoyment of anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a special relationship you have between you and your fandom, and you should enjoy it any way you want to. Just me personally, I like endings. I think that's really the best.
Are you nerd shaming my geeky guilty pleasure?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm really just making excuses for myself at this point, because I know that depending on what circles I'm in, my stance is either popular or extremely unpopular.
Right.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't even say popular. It's either like I guess so, or just like really unpopular.
Yeah.
You know. So I get it. Yeah, my I kind of bounce back and forth, and I feel like I already talked about this before, but I do want to circle back to something. And I feel like again I'm going to be explaining myself, but I like prison school, guys. Okay.
Okay, yes, we've talked about this before.
I really like, after we had me on the show a couple of weeks ago, right? And she kind of called me out on it for being a weeb, right? She totally called me out on it, which is actually the second time that's happened when I mentioned prison school to somebody. But yeah, I think for me personally, I am just thoroughly impressed by the flow of the story. You know what I mean? I mean, there's also a boldness to it. Like, of course, like it does hinge on hentai. It definitely does.
Okay.
But at the same time, there's just something sort of like, I don't know. It's just like the pacing of it is like impressive, given that it's not really an action book, that it's not really a superhero comic. It's not even like, it doesn't follow, even though it's just about high school kids, it doesn't follow the typical pace of slice of life stuff. You know what I mean? Slice of life comics. It's structured more like an action comic, but then at the same time, like there's not a lot of action to it. So, and I really think for me personally, it's one of those things where when I read something for the first time, I'm exposed to something like this for the first time, I kind of like I'm interested in how it works. You know what I mean? Like I'm constantly just sort of like, why is this working? Like, you know what I mean? Like it defies everything I know about how to structure a story like this. So why is this working for me? You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the thing I'm getting out of it personally. And I mean, of course there's definitely like the perverse thrill of like reading this book and be like, oh, that's dirty, But I also think I also find the characters very likable. Like I find the characters very enjoyable. Oh, great, Johnny! Like I was about to say, Johnny, you were able to find the one image of prison school you can put on screen right now.
Excellent.
Yeah, excellent. I've heard a lot of people say that the ending is not great, and I'm already fully invested because I bought all the volumes, even though I'm like at volume 6. So we'll see what happens. Like, I think that I'm just curious about this. And this is the first time I've really been invested in a manga in a while. The last one was Battle Royale, which was also kind of a very extreme book. So yeah, I guess maybe I'm finding out a lot about myself in a type of manga reader and the type of manga reader I am in public. But I'll just keep it to myself from now on. Okay, guys? That's just like, yes, please do. But yeah, hey guys, keep sharing your nerd shame with us. Let us know in the comments what your geeky guilty pleasure. And keep the conversation going. Like, because like, look, as much as we like to give each other crap, like we do this all the time. Ashton and I give each other crap. Johnny and I give each other crap. We give Ashton crap. Ashton gives us crap. We do that because we know each other and we're having fun, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we are always about like you liking what you like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think there's something special about the arena that we kind of like that we work in, right? Like this industry that we work in, that we get to see people actually genuinely enjoy something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, the last thing we want to do is be a jerk about it and be like shame people for actually not liking it. So, or actually liking something. So like what you like, guys. I guess is the point. What is the weekly poll this week, Ashton?
All right, this week's poll, we're trying to settle a very divisive debate. Of these two classic games, what is the superior ultimate friendship ender between Monopoly and Uno?
Oh, whoa. Oh, man, that's a good one. I didn't know you were going to do this. This is actually pretty interesting. Okay, all right, Johnny, get in here, man. Get in here. Let's talk this. We got to talk this out. Me personally, I'm an Uno person, and I have I'm not super petty when it comes to Uno, but I do get very aggressive.
Yes. I was recently playing a game of Uno with my boyfriend and his family, and they have one of like the custom decks where you can like make custom wild cards, and one of them is like a swap hands card. I inherited a hand that had 15 cards in it, and I was outraged.
No. No, and that's real, right? Because like it can, I find like Uno's interesting because you never quite know the level of petty of a person until you play them in Uno, and they're like, draw 4, draw 4, draw 4, draw 4. And it's like, this friendship is over. Or maybe this relationship. I don't know. But what about you, Johnny? Are you more of a Monopoly person or Uno person?
I personally like to play Uno more than Monopoly. I have the same deck at home where we can write your own cards on the Uno. So we play it with my son and was like, you would get a free piece of candy. So it's cute to play with him for that. Monopoly though. Well, first of all, let's back up. I feel like the thing about this you also have to consider is like the length of time it takes to play each game. Yeah. Games of Uno are over relatively quickly, so I don't think it takes enough time for someone's feelings to get hurt that much. Monopoly can go on for weeks at a time. I mean, like you can have like
that out in the comments too. They were like, the thing with Monopoly is you know that you're going to lose before it happens, and it's just like 4 hours of anxiety.
Yeah, it's like for the last time, Gary, I am not giving you like Park Place for Baltic in Connecticut. It's not happening.
Right.
So, me personally, just because of the fact that the length of time that Monopoly games can take, I'm voting for Monopoly, to be honest.
Okay, interesting. All right, well, let's see what's going on here. It's
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Ooh.
It's the ultimate friendship ender. Okay, all right. Well,
63.8 over Uno, which had 36.2%. Let's see what some of the people in the comments here said. I'm 26 and I still don't fully understand Monopoly. All the little houses, hotels, man, I don't know. But Uno, at least I understand, so I know what's going on when my friend stabbed me in the back.
Oh, damn.
I mean, I'm a co-sign that because, like, I've played Monopoly before, but I don't necessarily find playing with money to be particularly fun. It feels like too much like real life.
Okay.
So I'm going to co-sign that.
This one I love right here. Monopoly is a cruel, agonizingly slow death, but you see it coming. Uno, on the other hand, is the quick stab of pain that follows a sudden betrayal right in the kidney. The anxiety of anticipation does it for me. All right, well, that's not
These answers are phenomenal. This is great. Do we have any more, please?
I don't know. We're reading these live, so if anything comes up questionable.
Aaron is right, though, with Monopoly. Like, the straight-up Monopoly rules are pretty chill, but when people add house rules, that's when it becomes personal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, when you start doing, like, I know for a fact with Uno, like, people have different ways they play.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you guys this. Like, I mentioned the draw four on top of a draw four, top of draw four. Do you do that? Do you stack cards?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, all right. So maybe it's like a regional thing because, like, I've been in situations where people are like, you can't do that. Like you can't you can't do like skip you and it's back to me, and then like you can't do that stuff. Like I've heard people like argue over that. So I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm on your side. I am all for stacking, like reverse back to me, skip you, draw.
Right. I'm gonna play Uno today. I'm just to piss off Liz. I'm gonna play Uno with her today.
I've got the Uno app, Troy. I've got the Uno app. So if you want to play with me virtually, I'll kick your butt.
I put it on. I put it on my phone at one point. I don't know if I still have. I'm looking for my phone, but I don't need it right now. But like, I'm totally game. If you want to play me on Uno, we will make this happen, Johnny. I invite anybody who's watching too. We will play. I will play you in Uno. So just gotta wait for me to take bathroom breaks, but like it'll happen. All right. What is the comic shop shout out this week, Ashton?
Okay, so as you mentioned earlier, Greg Ide passed away earlier this month. So our comic shop shout out this week goes to him, Ides Entertainment in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was 69 years old at the time of his passing. So we want to send him some love and a shout out. We'll show you some photos of the shop at the end of the show. Ordinarily, if you would like us to shout out your comic book shop, you can find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We will find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
All right, cool. And, actually, before we walk out of here, I wanted to point out one more thing. I don't know if you caught this. Johnny put me onto this, and I wanted to bring this up because I thought this was cool. George Perez and Marv Wolfman got an opportunity to be the voice actors on Teen Titans Go. And so they're making that a reality, which I thought was actually pretty cool. And like, there's a little bit of a backstory there, but these are creators of the Teen Titans comic that was so popular in the early 80s. And, their little creation has definitely gone on to like become a cult favorite, I would say for sure, in terms of the Go franchise or the Go offshoot. And they talked about, I saw Wolfman talking a little bit about how they were planning to do it before COVID, and it never happened. And then, like, the creator, the showrunners circled back to them. They were like, "Hey, come on the show and just play yourself." So
I love that.
yeah, I love that too. Especially since the creators don't necessarily get a lot of love from the larger media world. Like, it's kind of like you're a comic book creator, and like comic book fans know who you are, but that's kind of where it stops, no matter how big your creation goes. So it's always good to see that, like, Hollywood recognize those people and give them a little bit of shine. You know what I mean? So I don't know when the Teen Titans Go episode is going to launch, or if it's going to be for one of the straight to video movies.
It's going to be Saturday.
Oh, it's this Saturday. Okay, cool.
This Saturday.
Yeah. So yeah, check that out. Especially if you're an old school Teen Titan fan or a new school Teen Titan fan. Like, it actually would be kind of cool to see Marv Wolfman and George Perez, the recently retired George Perez, I should point out. So yeah, the fact that they got him like to come on and do this is also doubly cool. Another thing I want to point out is I did a short little interview with Henry Barajas. Henry's been on the show before. He represents Top Cow Productions, which is of course the Image Comics, a long-standing Image imprint. They do Witchblade, The Darkness. And now they're doing Helm Greycastle, which is a Latinx fantasy, spearheaded by Henry. Henry is like, he's been on the marketing and editing side of Top Cow for a while, and now he's actually writing books for them. And yeah, this is kind of interesting. I asked him to kind of talk about his favorite fantasy stories in general, and he gave me his top 5. And it's sort of like just kind of like a window into, of course, culturally, his Latinx heritage. And Mesoamerican heritage influenced Helm Greycastle, but also it's like a little like look into like his geekdoms and like what also inspired the book as well. And I'm hoping I can do more of those. Like we did one a few weeks ago with the creators of Deadly Class, where they gave us their playlist for their new story arc. I'm always interested in like the things that inspire the creators. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping I can do more of those, and that should be fun. I think I got one with Rodney Barnes coming up too. So keep an eye on that. But you can definitely watch read the Helm Greycastle one. It's a short read. It's on PREVIEWSworld.com. Just go to the front page and scroll down. You'll see top 5. Helm Greycastle's Henry Barajas shares his favorite fantasy tales. And like, follow, and subscribe. We mentioned this before earlier in the show. Like, follow, and subscribe to Previews World. Like, follow, and subscribe to Free Comic Book Day. We won't double bag it. That's actually a horrible term I just used. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. We won't double up. Sorry. Jesus, Troy. We won't double up.
As production manager of this show, we'd like to say that the opinions and statements made by Troy Jeffrey Allen are not those of Geppi Entertainment Media, Diamond Comic Distributors, or any of its subsidiaries. Troy is just plain out of his mind. Continue.
Excellent.
I'm in my mind and talking on my butt right now. Yes. No, I'm sorry. We're not going to double up and post the same thing to Pre-World's Free Comic Book Day. So you're going to be getting very specific content on each page. And so definitely like, follow, subscribe so you can keep up to date on the world of comics and just nerddom in general. And also so you can participate in our Social Swap questionnaires every week, because we do those on the weekend and people eat them up. They love talking nerdy to us. So like, we talk nerdy back. Double bag it. Anyway, I could have been talking about comics and polybags. You don't know that.
Know what? It only was weird because you acknowledged that it was weird. If it pushed through, I would have been like, yeah, whatever, let it go.
Right, yeah. I did that to myself. You're absolutely right about that, Ashton. Anyway, I'm just going to moonwalk out of here. Probably actually more like stumble out of here. That's it for Previous World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And hey, guys, keep an eye on Pullbox. Is coming June 7th. And Free Comic Book Day is coming when, Ashton?
August 14th.
So a lot to look forward to this summer, guys. And hey, we'll see you at the spinner rack. Catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch Previews World Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Who was the father of Luke Skywalker? Oh, straight away, Dave.
Anakin Skywalker.
Not the right answer. Tracy. Darth Vader's right. That's like a change.